Hey everyone! With Evil Dead Rise out in theaters, I figured it's a good time to update my Evil Dead ranking. As usual, spoiler alert for all but the newest movie. I will not be including the Ash vs. Evil Dead TV show because these rankings are for movies. However, if I were to include that, it would be between number 1 and number 2. Without further ado, my number 5 is Army of Darkness. Look, this is my least favorite Evil Dead, but I still love it. It's still great Evil Dead. I can appreciate that after going from horror to horror comedy, Sam Raimi just kept going straight into straight-up comedy, but I also think they went a little too far. Like, this is very much medieval slapstick action comedy with a little bit of horror sprinkled in there. And that's what I love about this franchise. Every single entry is unique. No two are alike, so everyone offers you a different experience while still feeling like it belongs in the franchise. The acting here is probably the best of the original trilogy. The action is pretty well done.
Protect the book! God save us all.
The humor is pretty consistently funny, even the slapstick gags. Unfortunately, there's almost no blood. They were going for a PG-13 rating, but even after seeing the finished cut of the movie, the MPAA were like, fuck you, and they slapped an R rating on it anyway. There's literally one scene where there is blood, and that's when the one guy gets pushed into the pit, and you just see the cartoonishly bright red blood spray out. Even though it's my least favorite, this movie still provided us with so many iconic moments.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. See this? This is my boomstick!
You have Sam Raimi's last gearing up montage with all the push-ins on what's going on. Like when Ash is making his new hand. And honestly, I'm kind of glad they didn't go with the original ending. It felt like a little too nihilistic for me. However, with the ending that we did get, it kind of felt like Bruce Campbell's performance was slightly lowered. Like he didn't care quite as much. I think it was because they did it during reshoots, maybe? I don't know, whatever. But, like, it's still pretty fun. My score is 4 out of 5. Number 4 is Evil Dead. I used to have this one above the original. I have since changed my mind. I still think it's a great movie. I just think that it's slightly less great than I used to think it was. This movie takes the over-the-top gore from the original and plays it completely straight. I honestly think it's scarier than any of Sam Raimi's movies. Part of that is because it gets rid of all the camp, which is part of playing it straight. And yeah, the camp was what made it kind of iconic in the first place, but it still works just fine. I will say that this movie feels the least like an Evil Dead movie, but it still feels like an Evil Dead movie, in my opinion. I've gone in depth about how this movie succeeds as a remake in a past video, so I won't go into that much detail here. I'll just drop a link to that video in the description. It gets bonus points for not trying to cast a new Ash, because any attempt to do that would have been doomed from the start. The remake also has more fleshed out characters than the original. The original still has fleshed out characters, just not to the same extent. Jane Levy is fantastic here, and Mia is one of my favorite final girls of all time. She checks 2 boxes for early death, current or former drug addict, and first to get possessed, and she still comes out on top. Also, she one-ups Ash's hand amputation by ripping her hand off the hard way.
Enough of this shit. done this, motherfucker!
Which is the single most hardcore thing I've seen since Korra metal-bended Mercury out of her own body.
Release the fear.
The opening scene is one of the most effective jump scares I've ever seen. My score is 4 out of 5. Number 3 is Evil Dead Rise. Evil Dead Rise is the answer to the question, what do you get when you combine the humor and cinematography of the original Evil Dead with the gore and scares of the remake? As much as I love Fede Alvarez's take on the series, I think Lee Cronin had a better grasp on the material. This one feels more like an Evil Dead movie than just... Like, I love the remake. It felt like an Evil Dead movie, but it also kind of felt just like a generic demonic possession movie sometimes. And this movie feels more like an Evil Dead movie. The camera work especially, like, the remake had some creative camera work, but not nearly to the same extent, and that was part of the reason it didn't quite feel Evil Dead. The camera work here is much more in line with Sam Raimi's work.
What's up, sis?
I had the most beautiful dream. We were together sitting in a tall forest. The wind was clean and the birds were singing the sweetest
Melodies?
It was the perfect day, and all I could think about was how much I wanted to cut you all open and climb inside your body so that we could stay one happy family.
The character work here is some of the best in the franchise, and the emotional stakes in this movie are actually the highest in the franchise, at least out of the movies. There's an argument could be made for the TV show, but just looking at the movies, this movie has the highest emotional stakes, because in the past movies, it was people with their friends, or, like in the original and the remake, it was just a group of friends, and the two of them happened to be brother and sister. Evil Dead 2 was Ash on his own, and then some other people showed up, and they didn't all get along. Army of Darkness was Ash trapped in medieval times, and with people he didn't know and would never see again after he left. This movie is about family.
Family.
Family. Family. Family.
Family.
Family.
Family.
Family.
Family.
Family. Family. Family. Family.
Family. Family.
Family.
Family. Family.
Family.
Family.
Family.
This movie is about a family having to deal with the Deadites. And so when they have to fight each other and kill each other and dismember each other, you can see the toll that's taking on them. The mix of practical and digital effects is great, and the sound design in this movie is top-notch. Also, this movie just continues to support my theory that the whole thing with Deadites and their possession, it's all about willpower. Ash was able to fight them off multiple times because of his indomitable will. And also, in one case, it was because of the emotional connection of seeing his girlfriend's necklace. But still, that helped. Everything the Deadites do is to demoralize you, to break you. From injuring you, to having whoever they're possessing injure themselves in front of you, to all sorts of fucked up shit like having goo leak out of your orifices, to taunting you, using the body of your loved one, and generally just tricking you into letting them in or letting your guard down. Everything they do, it is meant to demoralize you, to weaken your willpower so that they can take over. Okay, so now I'm going to get into spoilers, so I'll put something up on screen for that. I love that this movie has a justification for why these Deadites are somehow able to withstand so much more punishment than the others and keep coming back. And for the people who like to think of the remake as more of just a distant sequel, and still in continuity. This movie provides justification for that as well, because it's confirmed that there are 3 different Necronomicons. So presumably, one of them is the one we got in the original series, probably in Ash vs. Evil Dead 2. The second one is the one that we got in the remake. That's probably just a different cabin that happened to have an evil book under it. And then the third one is the one that we see in this movie. And apparently this third one is capable of creating more powerful Deadites than the others. Because holy shit, they do not quit. Alright, spoilers off. My score is 4.5 out of 5. My number 2 is the original classic, The Evil Dead. This movie is the best kind of campy, although the campy does come at the cost of some scariness. The acting is good, the makeup and gore effects are great, the script is tight, and the cinematography is amazing. Seriously, Sam Raimi is clearly having a blast with his camera. Like, in the very beginning, when you see it going across the water, that was just Sam Raimi on a raft with his camera, and then presumably they just sped up the footage a little bit. When you see the evil force's POV as it moves through the woods, they just strapped the camera to a 2x4 and they had 2 guys run through the woods carrying it between them. The Deadites are creepy as hell, and Sam Raimi does such a great job of just creating this foreboding atmosphere. My one problem with this movie is the tree assault scene. It's meant to be disturbing, and in that regard it succeeds a little too well. I agree with Sam Raimi, I think they took it too far, just for the sake of trying to be shocking. Although that does provide more evidence for my willpower theory, because yeah, something like that is gonna seriously demoralize you. Especially because your friends aren't gonna believe you. My score is 4.5 out of 5. Finally, my number 1 is Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. This was Sam Raimi's first masterpiece, the second being Spider-Man 2. But this one is his magnum opus. This is his greatest achievement to date. This is a rare example of a sequel that improves on the original. It is a perfect blend of humor and horror. It's genuinely scary at times, and yet the comedy is excellent, especially Bruce Campbell's slapstick. The makeup for the Deadites has definitely improved. Same goes for Sam Raimi's cinematography, since he had a couple more movies under his belt in between Evil Deads. The acting and the action are also better. I mean, there's a reason this movie has stood the test of time. It's because it's so damn iconic. It's so damn timeless. It's so damn memorable. You have the whole bit where Ash is like just embracing the absurdity and the craziness, and he's just laughing along with all of like this shit in the room that's come to life. Ash cutting off his own hand. Like, it's not even if I can't have it, no one can. It's like, all right, if I can't have my hand, you can't have the rest of me. You have the whole gearing up montage, complete with Groovy. My score is 5 out of 5. Hey everyone, what's your ranking? Let me know down in the comments. Like and subscribe and all that. If you don't like the video, tell me why, because I'll take any feedback I can get. Then subscribe anyway, so that you'll be updated when I upload a new video, and then you can watch that one and tell me why that one sucks, or tell me if I've made any improvements. That's all for now. Stay safe in these crazy times.